theme of my presentation will be Escape from Sonderkommando KL Auschwitz. Maybe we start for this air photo. It is a photo from the December 44. And on this photo are visible the place, the concentration camp Auschwitz and also Birkenau. And very important in this photo is the place around the camps. We must remember that the camp Birkenau and Auschwitz, around these camps was the area which called in the German Lagerinteressengebiet. And border of this area is on the green line on this photo. Oh. This area was over 400 square kilometers, and we must remember that when we think about escapes from the camp Auschwitz-Birkenau, we must remember that about escapes, when the first stage escape was successful, when the prisoners left this area. Another screen is a photo of Auschwitz-Birkenau from the September 44. And red line show the Grossenpostenkette in Birkenau, and yellow and pink line, it's the same Grossenpostenkette around Auschwitz I concentration camp. Grossenpostenkette, it was watchtowers with the SS staff during days. But blue lines around concentration camp Birkenau and also Auschwitz I, it was barbed wire fence with the electric voltage. In Auschwitz it was about 400 volts and in the Birkenau over 700. And electric fence was activity mainly during night and also during special action, during mass extermination around the crematories. Of course, the blue lines and the Kleinpostenkette, because these blue lines, it was barbed wire fence with also watchtowers, and it's called the small lines of watch in the German Kleinpostenkette. Another photo, it is photo Camp Birkenau from this August 44, and on this photo I would like to show you points which have connection with the works of the Sonderkommando. First of all, place of the Bunker 1, place of the Bunker 2. During 44, this area called Bunker number 5. Crematory number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. And another interesting information about Sonderkommando in this picture is the buildings in which prisoners from Sonderkommando living in the camp. It was building number 2 on the sector B2B, and building number 13, it was on the sector B2D. The first building for the Sonderkommando was barrack number 2 in the sector B2B from the 42 to first month 43, and from the 43 to the end to the January 45, it was barrack 13 in B2D. It is current view of these buildings. This is building number 2. It is ruins of barrack number 13 in the B2D. And please look for the interesting details. The yards near barracks for the Sonderkommando are closed by the concrete walls. In this place was gateway, and it was yard for the Sonderkommando. And this is the second wall, which isolated prisoners of Sonderkommando from other prisoners which living in the camp. Because the isolation of prisoners was all the time, but we must remember that it was not very completely close isolation. Sometimes prisoners from Sonderkommando had a contact with other prisoners. So, another problem is the problem for all prisoners which try to escape from concentration camp Auschwitz. When we're thinking about escape from the camp, we must remember and make analysis that prisoners meet with difficult problems. For example, mainly it was the lack of the documents on our ID. Another, unknown area around a camp, and also sometimes unknown Polish language, and it was problem during escape. Another problem, lack of the civil clothes for the prisoners, for the normal prisoners from the concentration camp. Another problem, lack of the money for the valuable items. It was also important during escape. And another problem, bad physical condition the prisoners from the camp. For the prisoners from Sonderkommando, many from these problems not exist. For example, civil clothes and contact with the monies, which stay in the undressing room in the crematories. It was chances for the prisoner from Sonderkommando. On this picture, which created former prisoner from Sonderkommando David Olere, are visible prisoners from Sonderkommando in typical clothes. This is civil clothes with the red lines on the back. And it is typical clothes for the prisoners of Sonderkommando. When we're talking about escapes from Sonderkommando, I think that good information about this problem is from the manual written notepad Saumen Leventhal. It was underground activity, and this notepad was discovered after the war near the ruins of crematorium. Leventhal claimed, for the first period of time, it was last days of 42 and first months 43 before started the operation the crematories and prisoners from Sonderkommando working near the bunkers. Escape was not easy but possible. First of all, from the testimony from the notepad of Leventhal is the example that, for example, during night, when the prisoners was transferred from the barrack to crematories, the escort for the 20 prisoners, it was only 2 SS watchmen. But Leventhal giving answer for this surprising the readers. First of all, prisoners being afraid the erection SS and blocked for the other try to escape. Another, more members of Sonderkommando don't think about escape because his friends, sometimes also family, were in the camp. And these prisoners sometimes try to send for these people legal help, like food, for example, sometimes also better clothes. In my lecture, I wanna show you the documents from our archive which have connection with the escapes from the Sonderkommando. But is big problem with this theme. First of all, we must remember that in Auschwitz not exist a personal list of prisoners of Sonderkommando. Another problem. No eyewitness from the first period exists of Sonderkommando between April 42 to December 42. And uncompleted German documentation. We must remember that prisoners from Sonderkommando subject to Polish Abteilung. Polish Abteilung, it was department of German Geheimstaatspolizei in Auschwitz, security police. And all documentation, personnel cards, for example, was in the hands of officers from the Polish Abteilung in Auschwitz. And the first period between April and December 42, only one thing, only one idea about escape from Sonderkommando for me, it is the testimony of Rottenführer Perry Broad. It is then this man on this photo. It was a member of Polish Abteilung in Auschwitz. And he remembered two cases of the escapes, unfortunately both undated. The first, Broad remembered that on the cover the night, two prisoners escaped. One prisoner was from the France and another from the Greece, but their fate was not clarified. Another example, it is two prisoners escaped together. They didn't know terrain, lost orientation, and SS caught them in the bar near Auschwitz. It was also in the Interessengebiet area. And SS conducted an investigation. Arrested prisoners were in the block 11 in the Auschwitz I. It is important that prisoners were in the block 11 in Auschwitz I. It is the first archive document in our archive collection which have connection with the escape from the Sonderkommando. One document, but two escapes. The first document, it is only one page, but talking about two different escapes. For example, first escape, oh, excuse me. It is this place in this document. And in this place is talk about escape from the Sonderkommando 2 and information that unfortunately prisoners lose the way and direction and stay in the Lager-Interessengebiet, and SS found them 2 days ago after escape in the barn near camp. It was in the farm, in the Harmenje, in these farms worked prisoners. And first escape on this document is in this place, and it is information that 6 prisoners from the Sonderkommando 1 escaped together, but about fates these prisoners we have not informations. Another document in our collection is it is document which had connection with the escaped 2 prisoners from the 7 December 42. And from this document, we know the name and surnames these prisoners which escaped. It was Samuel Kluea from Romania and Knop Ladislaus from Slovakia, but both these prisoners come to Auschwitz with the transports direction from the France in summer 42. And important information in this Gestapo wanted notice is in this place. In this place is information. The matter is very important from the security country point of view, and it is signed that it was very important prisoners for the camp administration. After analysis, I think that presumable route of escape show like this yellow line. The prisoners Knop and Kluea worked in the crematorium number 2, and it was direction of escape. We don't know. Maybe prisoners thinking about crossing the river. The river Vistula is in this place, but maybe it was impossible. You must remember that it was December 42, winter. Maybe change direction to the south. thought maybe because sometimes from the Birkenau on the background are visible mountains Beskidi, and sometimes prisoners from Sonderkommando thought that maybe are visible mountains, maybe in these mountains exist the partisans. I don't know, maybe, but it is empty village of Harmenge, and in this place SS found these prisoners 9 December 42. Another document, it is register prisoners from block number 11, Auschwitz I. And interesting is that for one day Knop and Kluea were removed from the register block 11. For the one day. And Danuta Czech, historian from our museum, claimed that it was proved that SS made investigation in Birkenau and answer for the question, how escape was possible. In my opinion, it's true, but Danuta Czech made a small mistake. In this place are visible two prisoners, Bar Borenstein and Noech Borenstein. In the calendarium, chronology of KL Auschwitz, Danuta Czech in this book claimed that Bar Borenstein and Noech Borenstein, it was also prisoner from Sonderkommando, which escaped 9 December 42. But after my analysis, I can tell you for the 99% that it was fake. Why? I found the files of Bar Borenstein, and I know that it was prisoner not from the Sonderkommando, but from the Strafkompanie, from the penal team, also from the Birkenau. But it was brothers, and living together in concentration camp, together in the Strafkompanie, in the penal team, and maybe try escape. But as I tell you, for the 99%, it was not prisoner from Sonderkommando, but in the book of Danuta Czech is information that it was two prisoners from these 6 which tried to escape on the 9 December 42. Another escape from Sonderkommando, it is March 43. It is Annunciation and orders the commandant SS garrison Auschwitz from April 43. And on this document, in this point, are visible information about escape from Sonderkommando. From this document is now that during pursuit, the SS unit crossed the river and caught the prisoners, but not announced. It is Sonderkommando 1 or 2, we don't know. And is information that it was very brave proceeding the Unterscharführer Jochun, and complimentation from the commandant of camp, and sometimes it is the sign of this escape. It is connection between Unterscharführer Jochun, very now person for our historians from for Museum Auschwitz. Probably it is presumable escape route from the 9th March 43. Prisoner from Sonderkommando crossed the river Vistula. From the documents we know that it is village Jedliny, but prisoners stopped in the forest near Jedliny. Probably it is this forest. Another documents, it is documents about number of prisoners of Sonderkommando. By the way, yesterday was question why on the official documentation from the employment department in the camp is not exist Sonderkommando but Heizers, stalkers. I must to tell you that when I made analyze different documents from the employment department in the camp Auschwitz, I saw that SS used the typical description of the employments. And it is logical that if it's the crematories, is the Owens, and employment for the service the Owens, it is stalkers. But please look for the difference between numbers of prisoners. It is May 44, it is about 200 prisoners, and it is somewhere 44 is about 900 prisoners. By the way, from the testimony former prisoners, like for example Altel Feitzenberg, we know that the first month 44 was the try escape from the Sonderkommando, which hero of this try was Daniel Ostenbaum, Boxenbaum, and Ostbaum, different surnames in the different testimonies. But unfortunately, this escape was stopped by SS, and like the revenge, SS made the selection, and after this selection, sending to the Lublin, Majdanek, 200 prisoners from Sonderkommando, and these prisoners were killed in the crematorium in the Lublin. It is very now photos which made prisoners from Sonderkommando in concentration Birkenau. In my opinion, it is most important photos which made during Second World War and which had connection with the mass extermination. And when we back to the testimony of Altel Feitzenberg, Shlomo Dragon, we know that making these photos, it was underground activity, of course, but very dangerous, of course. But we must remember that it was not work from the individual person. It was work for the collective, for the group of prisoners. From the testimony of Altel Feitzenberg, we know that prisoner which kept the camera and pushed the shooter was the prisoner from Greece. His name was Alex, or Albert. He was from Greece, from Larissa. And this is very now person for the prisoner from Sonderkommando which survived. And why I tell you about this prisoner? From the testimony former prisoner of Sonderkommando, we know that Alex, or Albert Herrera, tried to escape on the summer 44. And it is document, it is register of station German police in Auschwitz near the railway station. And it is information that from the camp escaped prisoner Ferrara Albert Israel, which was born 15 January 1913 in Larissa. And it is this prisoner from Sonderkommando which escaped. It was 9 August 44. After analysis this air photo, I recognize two biggest points in which the SS putting in the Vistula River ashes after burning bodies in the crematories. And probably in one of these points, Albert and his friend from Greece tried to escape. From the testimony we know that while putting the ashes to the Vistula River, Alex and his friend from Greece attacked SS and started swimming to the other border of river. From the testimony former prisoners, it's sure that Alex did, but his question is how long lasted his escape? For my opinion, it was not short time because it was information for the police station in Auschwitz that one prisoner escaped. Another question, why I think that it was these places. I made analysis and we recognize this place because in this point are visible the trace of the heavy trucks of SS and the roads from the concentration camp ending on the Vistula border. This is Vistula. This is border from the concentration camp site, and it is site from the Jedliny village and the Jedliny forest border. another document in my presentation. It is another document from the German station police in Auschwitz, and it is information about revolt and escape from the camp during very now revolt of Sonderkommando 7 October 44. On the base of this document, we can talk that the start of escape from the concentration camp Birkenau started about 2:00 p.m. It is information in this place. After analysis different testimonies of former prisoners, on this place are visible presumable escape route prisoner from Sonderkommando. From the testimony of prisoners, we know that prisoners escape in the corner between Crematorium 2 and the women's camp, and also Klaranlage Station 1. It was cleaning effluent system. And in this place, Sonderkommando cut the wire fence. We know about it from the different testimonies, but I must to tell you that between files, electro team, worker team prisoners in the Auschwitz, I found information that on the 8th October 44, in this place, prisoners worked and repair the damaged the fence. And it is this place in which prisoners cut the barber wire fence. The prisoners from Sonderkommando during escape opened the fence because giving for women also chance for the escape. Okay, thank you. About escape from the crematorium number 2. In my opinion, it is presumable escape route. Prisoner from Sonderkommando escape, direction of escape was sought, and also in the village Harmenge, SS stopped this escape. For this escape, we have different testimony, different information, but in my opinion, the best is information from the SS SS-man Włodzimierz Bilan from the Politische Abteilung, and also Polish prisoner from the fire brigade Edward Sokół. Bilan claimed that prisoner from Sonderkommando stopped near the lakes in the village Harmenge. In this place, SS opened the fire, and over 75 prisoners died in this place, near the lake. But Edward Sokół, member of the fire brigade, claimed that after stopping the fire in the crematorium 4, went to other place, unfortunately not specifying. We know only that it was this road, which going the fire brigade. In his testimony, he wrote they saw near the road dead bodies, people from the Sonderkommando, and also he saw the burning barn and the places with the storage wooden boards. But from the testimony, Edward Sokół is information that bodies of the people from Sonderkommando was not near the barn, but near the lakes. And it is similar like from the testimony of Bilan. It is embankment between lakes in Harmenge, and probably near the lakes in Harmenge, SS stopped this escape. So, another very interesting document, it is Gestapo wanted notice from the 8th October 44, and from this document, now we can get answer for the question, what was named the surname, the Capo Karl, very cruel person, which is in many testimony former prisoners. The Capo Karl was Karl Topfer from Erfurt, and it is information from the 8th October 44, and from this letter we know that Capo Karl know from the testimonies former prisoners had surname Topfer, was from Erfurt. Interesting is that the letter informed Gestapo station in the different cities. It is the standard police procedure after escape, that Topfer was probably killed and his body was safe somewhere in the crematorium territory, but it is not confirmed. We know that during escape, during revolt in Sonderkommando, Capo Karl was burned alive in one of the crematorium ovens. Another prisoner from Sonderkommando, it is Alexander Shenkarenko. In my opinion, it is one from the Russian prisoner of wars, which was transferred from the crematorium Majdanek to Sonderkommando Auschwitz on the April 44, excuse me. And after this transfer, the prisoners which worked in the crematorium Lublin joined to Sonderkommando Auschwitz. Another prisoner, Sobotko Moshe, please forgive me, I found any information about this man, but last prisoner from this list, Plishko Meyer Israel, is very important, interesting history. We know that in the crematorium number 3 worked his brother, Lemke Plishko. He was a capo, but it was his brother. And his brother worked in the Klar and Lage Station 1. And during escape of prisoner of Sonderkommando, when showed this escape, he joined for this escape. I must finish, yeah? Okay. It is 2 documents which made resistance, camp resistance in the camp and informed for the other prisoners about escape from the camp. And another example escapes was during March of the Dead, during evacuation the camp on the January 45. And during this escape, during these marches, escapes, for example, Henrik Tauber and my friend Henrik Mandelbaum. Tauber and Mandelbaum, in this moment, on this photo, are in the clothes which were taken from the undressing room in the crematories. And in this clothes escape from the marshes. Thank you very much, and excuse me for my...